Hey, everybody. I got to take this off. I know you can hear us there, but I'm struggling right now to get us up there. Hold on 2 seconds, fam. Could you speak? Do something? Riff?
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Hey, welcome back to the Combo Couch. Welcome back to the Combo Couch, everyone. It's Pastor George.
You do not have to get that close to the mic.
Yes, we do, because it's
No,
all
you
the way
don't.
over by you. It's not even, you're not sharing it.
You are loud. If you want the audience to not hear me, the mic can be by you. Okay. So, fam, imagine you're a deer.
That's it. I'm done. Give me this. I'm out. Guys,
You're prancing along. You spot little brook. I'm trying to make fun of Pasta's accent by doing terrible New York accent impressions, and it's really getting to him.
Listen to what Matthew said. Just to let yous know, he said yous know, by the way, I am not a leftist. A natural conservation, far different. I think he said natural conservative is what he was trying to say. Far different from the neoconservatives, far different from the liberal conservatives, and far different from the UK conservatives. Center right, I am pro-Russian.
Sorry, I was distracted by your hair. What the hell is that?
That's my Friday night hair right there.
Jesus Christ.
That's Friday Night Live. See what he said?
No, a lot of people are. A lot of people are actually, because Vladimir Putin is a social conservative. But he's actually sounded a lot like an anti-imperialist today in his speech, and we're going to talk about that.
Center that mic.
Yes, thank you.
Now put it by you. You can't. You gotta say. It's gotta be like this between us.
Who's louder?
It doesn't make a difference.
It
You gotta get on top of the
difference.
microphone.
No, it absolutely makes
But
a
if you
difference.
put it away from me, it's not gonna get it. It's gotta go right here.
Unbelievable.
Fight like married couples.
Yeah, except we're not. Or
Babushka hair.
yeah.
Pasta's boudoir look.
Yeah, he looks like he just got out of bed.
Sound is great.
Okay, guys. So
It says they've been drinking. No, we have not.
no. He sips wine.
You little pinky there.
Over there.
Oh, what about these jeans? I don't know, fam. I'm not gonna check out. Let's think about it. Not to mention your biological clock.
You see why the mic shouldn't be pointed next to his face?
Fam, stop.
Okay, let's get
The
started.
pinky is strong today. Hey, Christian Gomez, what's up, paisano?
Okay, so are
Wait,
you
Somebody asked.
going to be
Listen,
able to bring this up?
fam, says, how's the wine in Brazil?
I don't know, Pasta. Let them know how the wine is.
Fucking thing. How good is the old Russian vodka? Have the good old Russian vodka, Christian Gomez.
So in Russia, they don't really like vodka that much because it's like a what?
He says annex the mic fee.
Thank you.
No, that's a play on what. That's a play on what the annexation of the Crimea situation is.
The mic wants to be a part of me.
You can't hear me. There's nothing over here.
You are Zelensky. You are Ukraine. I got this. So in Russia, they don't really like vodka that much. They prefer tequila because vodka is like whatever. It's, common. So they like tequila, they like wine, and they like Aperol Spritz. Why are you looking at me?
Do the
like
monologue.
that?
Do it now. You annoying little shit. Do the.
You see this kind of attitude?
She wouldn't shut up. She was screaming Marissa Tomei for the last half hour.
Because I know it bothers him. He says my accent is so bad.
All right, you are getting better though.
Imagine you a deer.
Yeah, you go. The honeymooners of Indie News.
Wait.
Here you go. There was a referendum on the mic.
You're prancing along.
For the mic.
You get thirsty. You spot a little brook.
Christian Gomez is vocal today. Let's go! Tequila is my preference and my culture. Mexico, baby. We went to Mexico. It was awesome. Mexico
We love
City.
Mexico. I like mezcal better than tequila, but I like tequila.
Did the mic vote? Let me see the paper trail.
There was a paper trail.
Whistles.
Okay, so fam, can we get serious for a second?
Yeah, what's going on?
Okay.
They have a gig after the stream? No. Tomorrow we have a gig.
We do.
And look at this with Christian Gomez.
Jesus Christ.
He says, I'm so happy I joined for the first time in a while. Fam, we got to talk to our fams.
Fams, we do, but we also have things to get done.
Yeah, but there's a Russian bear now. The Russian bear listen, all bear lives matter. Try to stick to beer. So my liver is there for retirement drinking. I'm going to have some beer tonight, dude.
Tonight?
Yeah.
It's already 12:50.
Oh, the dudes in Russia like what they think Fee likes. Get it?
Ha!
Hi, Miguel. Okay, let's get cereal here. You ready to get cereal?
Yes.
So, fam, you went to the favelas today. It was kind of awesome. By the way, guys, tomorrow I will have my video will be released. I did Kim Iverson today.
Woo!
So that will be out. Last time Fee did Kim Iverson, she got amaze balls numbers, which is great. So we hope we get somewhat close to that. We want to get all this information about the elections out. We had a lot of talk about today, so it was pretty cool. And we'll be seeing that too. What the hell?
Is it doing what it did before? I feel like now I'm speaking in that accent. Open system preferences.
It's okay. I just wanted to record shit. Fam.
Okay.
I got you.
Imagine you a deer. I swear, it's just it annoys him.
Kill ya. So here.
Why does it say starting soon?
I will get that off.
Get it off.
So
Forget about it. Bada
what
boom.
do we got over here?
So I went earlier today with our good friend Gloria. We went to the comunidades, which is what they're called now, but they used to be known as favelas, right? We went into with this group that pretty much led us through one of them. So now, just so you guys know, we're gonna go back Sunday, and we're gonna go to a favela voting location, which is at a school. We're gonna go to a middle income voting location, one in the city, and one in an upper class area, because we want to see the differences in these locations. So we've been talking to the social movement MST, which does a lot for the people.
Mm-hmm.
And in this particular comunidad, this little favela area, there's this group that pretty much is on this avenue, and it's a little tiny house, and it basically they cook for the people. They make today they made soup similar to the stew you had the other day. They had a tapioca type of soup and as well, and a bean soup. And then so this is a favela, and we went through the corridors, and I'm gonna put up the other video of them serving food. But this is the more of the this is like the low income housing that there used to be more of under Lula, but under Bolsonaro, they haven't built anymore. And so we went through here, and this is where all the waste goes. That water there, there's no running water, no electricity. So what they call it gato. So what they do, it does not mean cat. It just means that the people, the electricity, the stuff that's out there, it basically they fix it themselves, so because they can't afford to pay electricity or water, so they kind of rig their own system. But they most of the time they don't have anything, and the kids, a lot of them don't go to school. A lot of them because it's dangerous. There's no transportation. There's no accessibility. I know that it's very difficult for them to vote. Today, when we spoke to them, only we were told that roughly about 30% of the people in these communities vote. And in spite of that, they vote majorly for like a Lula type of candidate. Now, these people feel like Lula did more for them, so they're largely in support. And I'm gonna find that clip I had earlier. I did a several thread on Russia, which we're gonna talk about in a second. So it's like buried in here. But go ahead.
I'm gonna ask a couple questions when you guys were there, because I wasn't able to go today. I had to sit and do the Kim Iverson interview, like I said, so they went without me. When you spoke to them, did they talk about Lula and as far as like Lula versus Bolsonaro? Because this is something we heard that, Lula pretty much, he made a political alliance with the MST, and he helped them with land rights, property rights, getting resources directly to the poor. It was very big on that, where they said Bolsonaro pretty much cut them off. Did they kind of reinforce that kind of narrative from the MST?
Yes, they did. So this organization, it's not even an organization, a part of the MST. It's just a bunch of women that get together, and they come together, and you can go ahead and show that. And they said that there's that one, I forget, the name escapes me now, but it's in there. As you can see the Lula picture. But basically it's called Mi Pueblo, Mi Vida, or something along those lines, where it was this thing, and he spoke about it at the sports event as well. Basically it's this building of housing, right? And building these houses and stuff. And there's a lottery system you go into. And right now, that lottery system of those houses I showed in the picture, you wait a long time to get in there. Under Lula, there was more focus on that, where people had housing, and Bolsonaro has reportedly cut all of that, and he has reportedly just made it very hard for people to be able to afford. So they say that according to them, and this is actually something you can look up, it's actually factual. During Lula's time, Brazil got out of the poverty index. With Bolsonaro, they went back into it. And of course, the favelas have existed for a long time before Bolsonaro. I'm not saying that, but they did improve. Things did improve under Lula, which is why so many people are really, really like him. And so this is where they're putting the soup, and they write certain messages on there of inspiration or whatever. So they're doing that, and that's the kitchen. And they did give us some of the food as well. And they have a guy there that works at a factory. He doesn't know how to read or write, but he makes bricks. So they help sort of create whatever kind of housing they can get there. This is how people live. So this is what I wanted to point out too, because I posted this video, right? And underneath the comments, I got really pissed off because people don't even look at the video. They don't even read anything. They don't know anything about the conditions of these people. And they're like, Lula's tied to the World Economic Forum. Why is it? I'm like, listen, I'm showing you a video of people at a freaking favela, and you're talking to me about the World Economic Forum. We were one of the first people to talk about that stuff in independent media. It's not like I don't care about Lula going to it, or that we're not aware. You have to understand that these people have literally live in conditions that none of these Americans and these Westerners talking about this stuff and pointing it out, really, I mean, these conditions are abysmal. And I have more footage that I have to release, because it changes you when you view this stuff. I mean, people live in conditions you can't even imagine how they live. And their number one priority is feeding their families, having basic things like water, electricity, all of this stuff, food, and being able to have a fucking bathroom, for crying out loud. Being not literally, I saw human excrement, okay? In where these people live, like there's no people, they've lost this sort of, self honor, this pride. It's what I noticed when I went through Skid Row in LA. It's what I've noticed in the houseless communities in Los Angeles. And this is kind of full circle for me, because, when I came to Los Angeles, housing community, right? But the fact that the homeless, the women who were victims of domestic violence, and dignity is another word. Dignity is the word I was looking for. And I saw the level of poverty and the things that people have gone through in that community in Los Angeles. This is the closest thing to that I've seen. This is the country where I've seen that the most, right? Like, compared to all the other countries, I don't see that in Nicaragua. I didn't even see it in Honduras. Not as bad. I mean, I definitely know
Colombia
there's poverty. Colombia a little bit.
I mean, seeing, like, walking the streets and seeing the poverty out there, like, just going down to go get a pizza earlier today. Just, people living on the streets. We saw a guy. I was telling our good friend and our colleague that I want to give this one gentleman, the homeless guy, my shoes before I leave. And as we were walking the other day to go get some juice, the hospital was picking him up, the ambulance, and it was just like really so sad. And we see a lot of that. And once again, we understand that this stuff was around a lot longer before Bolsonaro came there. But there does seem to be kind of this attitude and talk that Bolsonaro has turned their back on them. Now, once again, I don't think we've ever ignored any stuff coming out of the WEF, the WHO, the Fourth Industrial Revolution. But just because guys go there, take pictures with people, doesn't mean they can buy into everything. It doesn't mean they can't, change and learn. I don't think that Lula is pro-mandate whatsoever. I do think he is going to be pro-vaccine, kind of like Trump, kind of like DeSantis. And I say that because those guys are like anti-mandate. But once again, that's not good enough for me. And I do give some credit to Bolsonaro for that. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, if you're asking me my opinion, and you guys know how I feel about this, you know how Fee feels about this, the number one cause of death in the world is fucking hunger. And that is a bigger issue right now. And unfortunately, from what I'm witnessing, Bolsonaro has not championed the poor and taken care of them like Lula has. So, I mean, this is going to be, like I said, one of those quagmire situations. But, I understand why people want Lula to come back into power. And Bolsonaro would have never came to power if the State Department of the United States didn't mess around in Brazil's business and have him jailed.
And not only that, and I agree with you 100% on that, in terms of the State Department and all of that. You can't, some of these people don't read. Some of these people can't write. Some of these people, I mean, they want basic things. And I say this to you all the time when we talk about capitalism and globalism and all that stuff, because we got into kind of an argument the other day. Gloria wanted to start filming about this whole thing. And you can't expect people to know that stuff that is so macro to their world when they can't even feed their families, when they don't have basic things. It is psychological. Anybody, if you don't have your basic needs met, if you're hungry, you're going to feed yourself. And that is how the breakdown society. Now, I want to specify that even though this didn't begin with Bolsonaro, it seems to have gotten worse. But also, Brazil is very similar, and I'm going to keep repeating this, to the United States in terms of its economic structure, in terms of the neoliberal type of governments that have been a part of it, right? They have been entirely a part of it. And that in itself shows you what Brazil is going through now, the degradation, destructuralization, the just the falling apart of the whole thing. You can see buildings in decay. It's a state in decay. It's a country in decay. There's a lot of industrialization, more than in most countries in Latin America, but the state of things, the infrastructure is falling apart. The United States is on its way to being like that. And that is the result of neoliberalism. Okay, I'm gonna focus on the neoliberalism so I don't say capitalism, but to me it's one and the same.
Well, I'm not a capitalism fan. I was always told you I believe in a mixed economy. So I mean, it's not like capitalism to me is like a good word, and I'm trying to protect it. But
the word starts arguments. So I'm specifically talking about neoliberal policies that have ruined these countries.
Neoliberalism lives and swims and breathes and eats in austerity, meaning they're going to put all the taxes and all the burden on the back of the working class people, while the rich people get off with everything. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it is. And I just want to put this comment up, fam. If people fear the government, we will have tyranny. If the government fears the people, we will have freedom. And that's by Wesley Reynolds. And
it's a very, the government should be by the people is my thing on that. Like I agree with that statement to a degree, but it seems like a more of a, I don't know. Is it more of a libertarian kind of mindset? Are like anarchists kind of, maybe the anarchists would say there shouldn't be a government.
Yeah.
But I do think the government should be fearful of the force of the people, right? And what we're seeing now with the developments in Europe and everything happening, I think we're headed in that direction. Poverty can be dehumanizing. But what really irritated me when I saw those comments is people not knowing anything about how these people are living. And it's so far-fetched to people when you talk about this stuff and you don't tie it back. Obviously, having corrupt psychopaths in power is what leads to these austerity measures. We know this. But you also can't just be too macro. You also have to look at what's going on in front of you. And for these people, they're voting with that in their mind. Now, only 30% of the people that live in the favelas are vote. And they don't get remember, voting here is compulsory. So, but they don't get fined. We asked that question because they're so poor that they may not even be in the system. I mean, we're talking about these people who don't, may not even have papers because there's always fires there because the wires are exposed. And when it rains, like it rained today, that's the number one cause of fires. So a lot of the times they lose documents. So, and there's, besides these organizations like the MST and people just doing, social work, nobody really helps them. There's not access to people who have disabilities. There's not transportation to put people to vote. So Brazil is just this is Sao Paulo is the largest state, I believe. I don't know if it's the largest state in Brazil. It's the largest
It's one of
city
them.
in Latin
22
America.
million.
Huge.
22 million people here. We've said this before too as well. And it doesn't take, once again, I mean, so you talk about the WEF stuff, we talk about the other stuff, but Bolsonaro has pretty much handed over, all agriculture to big agricultural companies.
Monsanto, Bayer,
all these multinational
Nestle.
corporations are in here. When you have a country this rich in resources and have all these minerals and stuff like that, but yet you have so many poor people, you have a problem with the government. So you can say all the good things you want about him as far as the boop boop and all this other stuff. It doesn't equate to all the other problems. Those have to be taken care of too. You can say you're a one-issue voter, but that's a freaking American thing, right? That really is. Not to say we don't have poverty and 750,000 homeless people, in America,
Yeah.
but it does seem kind of a little bit, snooty of sorts if you're going to have that kind of mentality when people can't even have a roof over your head and you're seeing these favelas, how poor they are there.
Yeah. And I guarantee you, if you didn't have a roof over your head, if you didn't have access to food, your priorities would quickly change. Because they do. Because I've been in situations where, you were like, how am I going to pay the power bill and all that other stuff? Like it's like when you have those needs, it's like you can't, you're going to demand some sort of practical whatever you can get. And in Latin America, like I said, the things are very different. Bolsonaro people look at him as somebody that hasn't done anything for workers, that's privatized the entire country. In fact, I was told that the state companies that run the power are also in the process of being privatized. So that's a whole other thing as well. Now, they know, because I spoke to one of the members, they know that Lula is a progressive. They know he's not. They know he's not anywhere near what they want him to be. He's more of a compromise candidate. And we get this all the time when we talk to people. So it's not like, it's not like people don't see the faults or see that, their things could be better. They're working with what they have. They want to be able to have at least, kind of like in Bolivia and Colombia, where they can have a chance to have something more decent than what they have now. And when you're in the state when you see the state of poverty these people live in, you can start understanding why they're doing this. And of course, you do have that wealth disparity between Bolsonaro supporters and Lula supporters. Yes, there are Bolsonaro supporters who are taxi drivers, but even we're talking about taxi drivers compared to people who live in completely low income housing or these favelas. So this is this is a big election for a lot of these people. And one of our friends put recently in a chat, some of Lula's numbers have gone up. Some people are saying he may get it in the first round. I'm still not convinced he will. It would be cool to see the celebrations and stuff in the streets. If to talk to people after, to knowing for sure. We were told we're going to have a really good idea by 7 on Sunday, 11 fully. So
yeah. Ricardo says Lula has strong support from the financial sector. Big banks are financing his campaign directly. The difference is he also gives a small percentage to the poor. That's it. Ricardo, if you have any links you can put in the chat, we'd love to take a look at those. Thank you so much for watching the show late night, hanging on out. I don't think that's the real Jackson Hinkle. I think people are messing around with us. I think it's a fake one, but if it is, hello.
Okay.
Is it humid in Brazil, fam?
Yes, because it's been raining nonstop. I brought the rain and the cold. It's cold here. Not cold, but it's cold for Brazil. And my friend just told me, my colleague said, "Oh, it was actually nice in Moscow today." And I'm like, not really happy about that, but I do miss actually Moscow. And of course, Putin. I'm so excited to talk about Putin. And yeah, I'm very excited to really talk about Putin. No, the right wing in Brazil aren't based in red.
It's just
they're not. You don't know what you're talking
they're
about.
Around. He's saying this is just.
Oh, is it a fake one?
Yeah, of course it is. It's like it's somebody just messing around. See.
No, because people would say that. They would. Oh, they're against the World Economic Forum. They're against the Fourth Industrial Revolution, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, but he's giving everything to multinational corporations. It's like it's the same people right there. Taking away indigenous people's lands. You know what I'm saying? We read an article the other day. It was like 400 homeless farmers trying to hold on to their lands as they're being threatened with gunpoint to get
There's
off their
fucking
land.
mercenaries in the Amazon.
Yeah.
Like literal mercenaries, guys. I mean, I cannot wait to release the stuff. In fact, I was inspired because you keep saying you want to go to the Amazon. I want to come back and go to the Amazon too. And talk to these people about this stuff, because what's happening there is like black water in Brazil.
Yeah.
It's really, really shitty. Really, really shitty.
Gabriel Ramirez.
Gabriel!
Go check him out. He is running for office, brother. Love you, brother.
We miss you,
we
Gabriel.
miss you, Gabriel, dude. We got to get him something from Lula. He's probably a Lula. I'll bring you back something. I wanted to get that book from Manuel Zelaya that was signed.
Oh yeah.
It was stolen when somebody broke into our house.
They stole the Manuel Zelaya book?
Yeah, they grabbed the bag and it was
Oh my
I had it signed. I have a picture of him signing it. I got it for Gabriel, so it's like I had a signed book. What's his name? Manuel Zelaya wrote a book, and it had a lot of pictures and details in it of when they couped him and what happened, the whole thing. He signed it for us, and it got stolen when that dude broke into my house. He grabbed the bag that had it in there and shit. And that sucks. But Gabriel, I'll get you something. We won't get you something directly from Lula, but we'll get you. We got some Lula stuff to give you. We'll get you some stuff, bro.
And I agree. And Lula, AMLO started. He's not. Everybody was like, he's progressive. He's not perfect on everything. And lately, he has been going crazy, like saying all these things, doing all these things, hosting Julian Assange's family, giving them the keys to the city. I mean, it's been good. So I hope, and same with Petro. Petro's been opening the border and stuff.
Yeah.
With Venezuela, and that's a huge deal, guys.
We talked about Neymar supporting
Really?
Bolsonaro. Neymar is
a lot of
player
soccer players do, actually.
Yeah. This is another one.
You guys are funny. Okay, so I think that's it for that. I'm like, we have more videos to release and stuff, but I want to go over also Putin's speech and Putin, what's going on in Russia, because my friends are working overtime right now at RT, because this has been insane right now. So this is a picture of Moscow today, Red Square, near this area. You could see all over the center of Moscow. So let's just look a little bit as to what you guys can see, all the people. He does not look like he's about to be 70.
It's like my mom. He looks a lot younger than
he looks really young.
Well, actually, my mom is
one of my favorite
right,
buildings.
Mom? I was watching somebody watch this today, like who did the video, and he was like, yes, as they were signing each country for their sovereignty.
People are crying. It's a big deal.
It is listen, guys, like this is so like,
I put Tulsi's tweet up there, so we'll discuss that too.
Good. Did you put up my tweet to her and shit?
No, you can put up. I put Kimberly's. You can put up.
We'll do Kimberly's.
Margaret.
She said something?
Yeah. Well, because I didn't put up your tweet. She's never
been crazy about Tulsi anyways.
Guys, Putin never said he wants to use nuclear weapons at all.
Yeah. Well, they're going to say, he'll use everything in his arsenal, and his arsenal includes nuclear weapons. But at the end of the day, I think the only difference in this whole approach is that, it's still a reaction to what's going on. And we have, all these Baltic countries with nuclear missiles pointed at his people. How long are we going to expect them to just sit there and do that?
Right.
Like, to not say, listen, enough is enough. Like when Americans in the Cuban Missile Crisis, when we were down over there, forget about it. When the Russians were down there with Cuba, the Americans went crazy.
He's great. He's from Donetsk. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah. And he's not that tall because Putin is so small.
No, yeah. Spasibo. Okay.
Clean your own house, pasta.
Okay, so
fam, that was the first part. Should I get to the next clip?
Yeah, because we're
give a
going
little context about what was going on.
All right, so today they signed the Donetsk, the Kherson, the Zaporozhye, and the Lugansk People's Republics into Russia. So that's what happened, and he signed. And I have, I'll post like a little. We're gonna have the video, but there's a little clip actually. I'll post too. That's pretty quick. But this is from Maria Dubovnikova.
Say it into the microphone.
Dubovnikova.
Fam, you got to get better in your Russian now.
Fam,
Dubovnikova.
I'm trying to do Portuguese right now, and you're...
Obrigado.
It's too many languages.
Sorry.
Okay, so there it is. From today's meeting on the Red Square in Vasilivsky descent, reportedly it was attended by a total of 180,000 people. So here are the pictures, guys. Again, this is the center of Moscow, Red Square. Look at those people. Look at that. And Putin is supposedly less popular in Moscow than he is in the rest of the country. Mm-hmm. So I just want to let you guys know that, right? Right off the bat. Everybody says that. Everybody knows that. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And okay, so we're going to go over Putin's speech in a minute, but Tulsi somehow, and I read the whole thing. Like 3 times. It's a long speech.
You read the speech?
Yes.
I was able actually to watch it, and I was reading along as I was watching, and it was pretty fucking awesome, dude.
That is based.
Yeah, that is based shit. So what does Margaret Kimberly say here?
Well, let's read Tulsi's tweet, right? Because Tulsi said Putin's threat and apparent willingness to use nuclear weapons should be condemned by every person in the world, including every Russian. If Putin really loved Russia/Russian people, he would not bring his country and people to the brink of annihilation for any reason. I'm going to let you have this one. But I will say Margaret Kimberly said he hasn't threatened to use nukes. He hasn't, guys. What he did say was Russia will use every weapon that they have to fight against the attacks from Ukraine. But he also said in that same time and many times before, so did Sergei Lavrov and every single of his representatives have said Russia does not want to use nuclear weapons as an absolute thing that, we do have a plan for it, but we know that would be the destruction of the world. We are not willing to use weapons. In fact, in this speech, he said, I want to sit down. And when Russia wants to sit down on the negotiating table, end this war, we're ready to do that. I wanted to read his whole speech on the show. I wanted to recite it. And then I'm like, well, now we have the video, so we can go over some parts. But this is what you said, so go ahead.
Well, yeah, this is the Congresswoman. And really she put this up 2 minutes and I was on this. And I said, threatening the use of nuclear weapons is a reaction to the U.S. placing them on Putin's border. And just like Fee said, and just like Margaret Kimberly said, he's never come out and said, I'll use nuclear weapons. The ex-president, I forgot his name, who's now part of the cabinet, he said that we'll use everything at our disposal. Yada, yada, yada. So even if you want to say the fact is like, oh my God, like he's threatening to fight back with him, they have nukes on all the Baltic countries, pointed at them for many years. They've been moving closer. NATO has been threatening them when they had a deal to pull back. And now we have a puppet government. And with Zelensky's the one who said that he was going to seek nuclear weapons. Yeah. And then like a couple days later, Russia was in there. Putin tried for 8 years to get them to agree to the Minsk Accords. Russians inside of Russia were complaining that Putin was waiting and dragging his heels, that there were ethnic Russians on the border getting slayed. 14,000 of them before one troop paratrooped into the goddamn country. 14,000 of them. Many more are probably just, what do you call that? When you got PTSD, they're eating pickled vegetables, schools, hospitals getting bombed. You know who didn't want war? The people of the Donbass. That's something Eva Bartlett said on the morning show when we were all there with all the ladies and stuff like that. Nobody cared about them. So for people also to have this other attitude, I'm going to say it, I kind of hit up my friend. I don't like Dave Smith and Scott Hortons and Medea Benjamins and all their attitude about, oh, I'm anti-war, you can't do this. 8 years these people were getting bombed on his border. 8 years. So Putin is doing all this because he doesn't want war. He wants to stop war. That's why he pulled back. He secured the areas he wants to secure. They now voted themselves into the Russian Federation, and now he wants to go to the table. Now you bomb one of these countries, you're bombing Russia. Yeah. Believe you me, he wouldn't do any of this stuff. And I said, as an American, Tulsi, you only have one position. Get your house in order. If you want to stop the threat of nuclear war, then call for the removal of nukes on Russia's border. Period. That's it. Don't start sitting there and bitching about Putin shouldn't be doing this and that. It's just naive to think that is okay. I also want to show one other comment really quick, fam, that I put in here. Here, this is the one right here. Because I am really sick and tired of everybody kind of concentrating on the reaction as if it's something that started new. If someone punches another person in the face for no apparent reason, are you going to condemn the other person for punching back? No. Stop fixating on the reaction as if it's an isolated incident. Putin wouldn't threaten nuclear war if there weren't nukes pointed at his people, period. And I just wanted to point that out. And, you know.
And he didn't. That's the thing. And he didn't threaten nuclear. He didn't. Who is the only country that has used nuclear weapons?
The United States.
The United States. Literally. They did it. And they not only nuclear weapons. And Putin said this in his speech. He said as much in his speech because his speech to me was one of the best speeches that I've ever heard. And I've heard Daniel Ortega speak, who I love. Denis Moncada from Nicaragua as well, who's great. Sergei Lavrov is a great speaker. Who do we have? We have Hugo Chavez was amazing as a speaker. Nicolas Maduro says some truthful shit. And of course, Evo Morales his speeches, of course, have always been pretty awesome, right? But Vladimir Putin's speech will go down in history as one of the most just comprehensive, all-encompassing speeches. It was a history lesson. And I love it when people take us through history when they speak. I've seen Daniel Ortega do this countless times. And so you guys everybody should read it. Everybody should read it. I don't care if you like Putin. I don't care if you love Putin. I don't care if you hate him. Read the goddamn speech. The transcript is there. It's linked up there and it's out. If you can just search Putin's speech, you'll be able to find it. It is phenomenal. And I would sit here and read it to all of you if I could right now. But he said a couple of really cool things about it, and we're gonna actually hear it. But it was one of the most important things that he focused on was what the West has done to Russia since the beginning, since for the longest time, and how they've tried to take away advantage of Russia, and how they have tried attacking Russia constantly, consistently, and how the West is literally trying to colonize the rest of the world. He considers them still colonizers, and by the West he means the United States leading the pack. And he specifically talked about how the United States uses its allies, sinks his allies.
Talked about Asia and Africa
as vassals, just, vassals. Talked about the destruction of Africa, said that the next targets are going to be Latin America more so. This is why a lot of people have more in Latin America and the countries we visited have more of an openness with Russia and have a close relationship with Russia compared to the United States. Okay, so we're going to listen to a little bit of the speech. In fact, we could probably go.
Do you have any times or?
No, but let me see. I think it was like a few minutes in. Let's see.
And the people, they were torn apart from their motherland. Dismembered our unity, national unity, turned into a disaster. Like after the revolution, they were dividing borders. Some were behind the scenes, and the latest leaders of the Soviet Union, despite the direct expression of will at the referendum of 1991, they destroyed our great country. They just presented it to the people as a fact. Maybe they didn't completely understand what they were doing and what would be the consequences of this. But this doesn't matter anymore. The Soviet Union is no more. The past cannot be fixed. And Russia today doesn't need this. We are not striving for this, but there is nothing stronger than the willingness of millions of people who culturally, in their faith, in their language, in their traditions, consider themselves to be part of Russia, whose ancestors for centuries lived in one state. There is nothing stronger than their willingness to go back to their true historic homeland. For long 8 years, people in Donbass were shelled, were blockaded, were put under genocide. And in Kherson and Zaporozhye, they were trying to cultivate hatred in them towards Russia. And now Kiev regime was threatening them with death to school teachers, to women who were working in the election committees. They were intimidating with reprisals millions of people who came to express their will.
All right, let's pause for a second.
Broken people.
He's talking about the fact that even before, and this is something that's rarely ever pointed out, even before 2014, Even before all of that, these people felt like they were a part of Russia. When the Soviet Union fell and everything was divided, some of these people that were a part of Ukraine didn't want to be a part of Ukraine because they were ethnically Russian. So he's literally saying this is like even longer than that. It's even longer than the Donbass and the 8 years that where people were shelled and killed, and while people were trying to vote for this referendum, Ukraine was shelling them, and the missiles were being intercepted by Russia. And I know this was happening because I could hear when I was talking to Eva, I could hear in the background the freaking bombs going off. So I know that was happening. And it's just people, you can't just take it and say, oh, I'm anti-war, and so that means that, Russia and the United States are equal. One country has thousands of military bases all over the world. One country interferes in elections, coups people, has used nuclear weapons. Stop equating the two just because you don't like the government or governments in general or whatever. That's not.
I think it's also too about the individual just trying to be all, once again, it's like a virtue signal of sorts. I'm anti-war across the board. You know what I'm saying? I don't, listen, we've said it before. Like, Putin this is clearly a reaction to what the West is doing, to what NATO has been doing. This is not an isolated incident where Putin woke up one day and said, let me expand the USSR, bring back the old days, start grabbing some territory.
Which he said the Soviet Union isn't coming back. He said it as much.
I know he's been saying it for quite some time. He's never said that he wants to do this. So this is about liberating these people who have been, and fam, we were talking about 2014, go back to 1991. We've been pushing, the West has been pushing color revolutions there for a long time. By 1991, at that time, Ukraine had already changed its freaking, from the 60s, it had already changed its constitution 4 times because there was so much chaos and so much influence from the West going on that it was chaos all the time. So, and this is something somebody said, it was Russia before Ukraine was even created. And I just wanted to put that up. That is so true. So let's go to another part of this speech, fam. Where do we want to go here? Do we want to jump ahead to right here?
A little bit. We can jump a little bit ahead.
Right there?
Let's see.
All right. I'm going to put it up here, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this late night, Friday night live stream, fam. You like that, right? Friday Night Live.
Sovereignty. That's why they are becoming aggressive toward people who will never leave under someone else's dictate.
Descubra seu mundo sem fronteiras.
God damn fucking commercial. They knew it.
That's them.
Oh my God. Riff. I know. I should have just changed it. Here we go.
The West can cross all the lines to preserve that neo-colonial system that allows them to remain a parasite, basically to plunder the world using the aid of their technologies and dollars. To collect fees from mankind, to collect this fee of a hegemon. And this is the key motive that they have. That's why they want total sovereignty. That's why they are becoming aggressive towards truly independent states, towards traditional values and independent cultures, and attempts to undermine international and integrational processes that they do not control, new global currencies and centers of technological development. It is critical for them to see all the countries abandon their sovereignty for the benefit of the United States. Ruling elites of some of the states, they do this voluntarily, and they agree to become vassals voluntarily. Others are intimidated or bribed, and if they don't succeed, they destroy entire states, and they leave humanitarian disaster, ruins in their way. Millions of people fall casualty to that. They create enclaves, protectorates, colonies, colonies, but they do not care. The only thing they want is to benefit from that.
Again, this will to dominate is the origin of the war, that's the hybrid war that the West is waging against Russia. They do not wish us to be free. They want us to be a colony. They don't want to have a partnership with us. They want to plunder us. They want us to be slaves, not free citizens. free thought is not what they want us to have. Free philosophy is not what they want us to have. That's why they kill our philosophers. And our well-being is a threat to them. Our development is a threat to them. They don't want Russia to thrive. We want Russia to thrive. We.
Okay. So you saw he was talking about how they want to make Russia a colony. That's exactly right. I mean, the only reason the United States has gone after, and the West, of course, following them, has gone after Russia for a long time is because Russia never gave in. They never allowed themselves to be, up until a certain point where he's going to talk about where it almost happened, to be ruled or told what to do by the United States, and they didn't like that. They don't like any country that's. We know, we go to these countries that are where you have these rulers labeled dictators. You have people like Daniel Ortega, who's a dictator, right? You have a Cuba. It's a dictatorship. You have Venezuela. Oh, another dictatorship. Assad. Oh, another dictatorship. I mean, you're talking about the fact that he's telling the truth of what we know, right? About what the left in the United States, or whatever the supposed left, complains about. Oh, the United States is, going about and bombing people and blah, blah, blah. Well, he's saying it. Can you imagine if our president said this? If our president even had the ability to recognize a fraction of what we go out and our government does in our name with our tax dollars, with instead of, I mean, they just approved billions more for Ukraine, by the way. And so the fact that he's talking about this is a big deal because he's calling them colonizers. He's calling the United States and the West colonizers, saying that they're pretty much, they only want people who allow them to do whatever they want. And he's saying that hasn't changed, and that the United States has done this and the West has done this since the beginning of time.
Yeah, pretty much if they don't get their way, then they try to go in and just wreck the country or change leadership and whatnot. He said they don't want them to be their partners. They want them to colonize those countries. So let's jump ahead. There's another part of it over here. Moderators are working hard tonight, fam, because there's a lot of donkeys in the chat right now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's a lot of donkeys in the chat. I'm going to put this up a little bit louder. Yes. Let's see if I can get that done. Let's do that there.
Well, because we're supposed to hate every government and every ruler and every whatever.
To do that, to intimidate the Soviet Union. That was their only goal. The West left a horrible history in Vietnam, where they used napalm and other horrible tactics. Remember the Republic of Korea and their actions there. They keep calling South Korea their own allies. What kind of allies are these? We know that many of the leaders of those countries that are perceived as allies of the West are being followed, and there are various devices used to listen to them and spy on them. And the leaders of these countries tolerate all that. And all of that is branded as transatlantic solidarity. And all of these horrible crimes that are being committed in the war zones are also excused. And all of that led to a great problem that has to do with migrant flows. People are fleeing their countries, going to Europe and elsewhere. There's problem of food security. There's food, there's bread being and grain being exported from Ukraine and Russia. Where is that grain going? It is not going to the poorest countries on the world, as they say. Only 5% of that grain is going there.
Dude, I mean, how can Putin understand the fact that what causes immigration, but they can't get it in the United States? He goes, all these wars are causing a lot of migration, guys. This is the cause of it right there.
How many times do we talk about this? Literally all the time. We literally mention this every fucking show. Pasta had that whole argument, with Jackson about the tweet. Yeah. Because people don't know the cause. People don't know this. Some people were like, wow, I didn't know Putin thought like this. And like people are like, wow, he's not lying. He's not lying. He's literally telling you what we know to be true. What a lot of us who watch our show know to be true, but what a lot of people don't know, what a lot of people are in denial about. And you know why there's a lot of anger coming from some of these people that, are anti-war or that hate, whatever. They a lot of people like even people like Tulsi, it's because there's that American sort of we can't be that bad, right? There's got to be something like, yes, of course there's some good to the American people. We're talking about the government. We're talking about what the defense industry has done. I know it hurts maybe to hear a lot that the country you are a part of and that the flag you like and represent and that you fought for does these things, but they fucking do. And this is why it's got to stop, because you don't want to be a part of a country that does this stuff. It's not okay. It's not okay. It has caused so much damage historically around the world. And the fact that Putin has to be the one to say it, and the fact that we're not even allowed to hear his speech, because I mean, imagine if people heard that on CNN, heard everything, not just the parts that they pick apart to make it look like out of context, or how everybody's focusing on the transgender stuff that he was talking about, not having multiple genders and stuff. He did mention that, but you're going to focus on that and not mention everything else. Mm-hmm. Literally not everything else he's talking about, the historical aspect of this.
Yeah. I mean, well, fam, what do you say to people who are like, fam, you're just in it for Putin because you wanted to go work at RT. Now you're working there. This is about your liking of like communism and all this other stuff. He's not a communist. Yeah, but you know how people like equate and stuff, because this is the thing that's pissing me off, is that it's one thing it took for conservatives to say this shit about, their mindset of the American empire being Captain America running through other places so that they can spread democracy and freedom all over the world. And they really believe that shit, a lot of them. And I think they're just so blindsided. But the fact that a lot of leftists have bought into Putin's evil, this is Putin, he's bad, he's bad, he's bad. I mean, why can't we just look at this? If you look at it on the surface level with no blinders on, the United States empire is in all these countries right on the border of Russia with NATO weapons, NATO nuclear weapons. We've been saying this for a long time. Had it been roles reversed, I mean, can you imagine if there were missiles in Mexico and they were pointed at America right on the border and they were kind of just shelling people in Texas and Southern California and stuff like that? We wouldn't go for it in 2 seconds. It'd be a 14-hour operation before they flattened that place. But yet Putin held out for so long, tried to bring things to the table. And once again, somebody said, he's no angel. I'm not saying he's an angel. I'm just saying not only is it expected what he did, he's more than justified. This is 8 years of shelling of people from a puppet government. And we have the evidence, guys. We have Victoria Nuland. And here's the craziness about it. You get Victoria Nuland on a phone call talking about who's going to be the next leader of Ukraine, going, fuck Yaz, fuck the EU. We're going to pick the leader ourselves. And yet she still has a job. She's still out there working for Biden's cabinet. And, it's like when John Bolton got a job from Trump. When they're like, well, Trump fired him. Why did he have a job in the first place? The guy is admitted to coup d'etat. He's evil as can be. The United States government and the empire does this shit over and over and over again, and the American people take it. And yet they justify shit. People in the chat talking about how, oh my God, Putin this and that, and Putin. Somebody said today that Putin has more WMDs and he can destroy the world with it if he wanted to. I'm like, you want to justify? You want to give us more manufacturing and consent for fucking war and stuff? Who has Putin used it on? We're the ones, guys. We're the only country that dropped a nuclear bomb. Fam said it earlier in the show. I mean, come on.
I mean, we are. I mean, if you can't equate the same, you can't equate a country that lost millions of people to fighting fascism, and now they're doing the same thing, and we're calling them Nazis. People heard this speech and said it was a satanic speech. That Putin is Hitler, that he sounds just like Hitler.
Who? What idiot?
All these, liberal NAFO people, like they think that they don't want to hear it. This is denial. They don't want to hear that the country they are part of, and it's not just a Republican neoconservative thing. It is a liberal thing because they're both, they make love when it comes to war. And that it's always been that way. Yeah. And also this whole the other end of the spectrum is that people, well, I hate war all the time. And so it's like I don't fucking love war. I don't like war. But at the end of the day, and you ask me what I would say, I have had the same point of view. We have been talking about this way before I worked at RT. I was against Russiagate. We completely were against it. I got called a Putin puppet in 2017, 2016.
Yeah.
This is nothing new for me. That's one of the things I told Archie. I said, I don't care about getting called a Russian propagandist because I've been called a Russian propagandist for fucking 6 years. So it doesn't do me any. I don't give a shit what you think at that point. If you're, what else you got? What else you got? I'm a Russian propagandist for what? For telling the truth when my friends are risking their lives to show the truth in the Donbass and the Donetsk.
And then put on a kill list, and you guys are okay
Vanessa
with it.
Beeley was just put on a kill list.
Wyatt Reed.
Eva Bartlett.
Kill list. For journalism, for election integrity activism. And this is what Russian Bear said. Most Americans think Ukraine, Azov are the good guys. And as they share the American roads with the rich BMW and Benz, good Germans. The Germans, fam. It's ridiculous. There's one thing I want. There's one thing I want in this whole situation. I want the fucking American empire to cease to exist. I want them to fucking stop. I want us to mind our own business, close these bases. I mean, this is something I think that some of the conservatives or the patriots are finally starting to get. They start seeing their kids come home getting all messed up. 22 soldiers kill themselves every day, ex-military, every day. 22 from PTSD, from all these wars we have going all over the place. Because it's not just in Europe or Eastern Europe or in China or in Asia. Not just in China, but it's elsewhere. It's in the global south. We have bases everywhere. We do this shit all the time. We cause death and destruction for the major corporations, for the globalist, or the capitalist, whatever.
He said the Western elite. Putin is calling them the Western elite.
Yeah.
So, by the way, Anthony Blinken is trying to talk to Peru, Cuba, Colombia, and somebody else right now. They're trying really, really hard to try to get everybody back. But guess what, guys?
Yeah.
It's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
Putin's right. Things will be different from now on. And
you want to talk about this piece of shit, Blinken. Remember him playing, your brother said it the best. He's playing warmonger patty cake with fucking Lindsey Graham. They were having like, oh my God, this is so good. He's talking about Iran as a foreign combatant and stuff. They were like having like we got to pour it on when it comes to Ukraine. Piece of shit. It's not just the Democrats like the Pelosi's and Paul Pelosi's and John Kerry's and Hunter Biden's and all them up. The Republicans are just as guilty, man. It's the one party friggin' imperialist party, and that's what it is, and that's what we need to stop. Love you guys. Two real ones.
Thank you, Zachary. We love you back.
Thank you so much, Zachary. We love you back.
Let's continue playing.
I'm going to jump ahead a little even more now.
Go back a little bit. How far ahead did you jump?
We'll start from here.
The Western elites are using the tragedies of these people to strengthen themselves, to destroy sovereign countries. The same goes for Russia, for the identity. This actually concerns the identity of France, Germany, and many other countries. There are calls for imposing more and more sanctions against Russia, and the leaders of Europe concede to that. But they must realize that when they are deprived of Russian resources and Russian energy, they will suffer a heavy blow on their own industries. This is not just being subservient to the United States by Europe. This is a direct betrayal of their own people. In fact, what we saw recently was a direct diversion and direct attack on the Nord Stream pipelines. In fact, they started destroying the energy infrastructure of Europe. Who profits from that? Well, those who profit from that are the ones who are responsible, are the ones who are the perpetrators. It is
okay. So, this is what I've been talking about. What I've done packages on. What we've been pointing out. The United States and NATO are sinking the economies of Europe on purpose. This is a controlled demolition. Mm-hmm. He's talking about how the United States isn't even treating its allies well. Like, what kind of relationship is this? The economies of Europe are sinking. He knows this, right? And he's pointing out too, even before he pointed out how the grain is going to them, but even that isn't enough to have for them to have gas, for them to be warm this winter. It's a big deal. And the people of Europe need to hear this. But guess what they did? They banned all Russian state affiliated media, or Russia, what Twitter has labeled that. And so people aren't hearing this whole thing. People aren't. It's so hard to get to talk about this because RT has been banned. And this is what I'm talking about here. The fact is that this is done on purpose, because who stands to benefit, as he said, from the NATO attack on the pipeline, the Nord Stream pipeline attack? Who stands to benefit? It's you got to follow the money, guys. It's always the people who are making money off of this thing.
Damn, and there'd be like a thing. Oh, the Putin taking the submarine down as he's going down. All they had to do was go like this. Where's the switch? Click. Turn it off. They'll just turn it off. They're gonna bomb their own pipeline. Meanwhile, you got Victoria Noodleman saying that it's going to stop it no matter what. If this happens, Joe Biden said it's going to stop. If this has happened, they just all confess to it. You got a confession tape. I want to point out too as well, if you look at everybody in this room, there's a sense of seriousness right now. Like they understand, like, okay, this is the Western Empire. These are oligarchs. We know what they've done for so long. We know this is the only country to actually drop a nuclear weapon on people. We see what they're doing. And they understand where they're at. They've hit the crossroads where it's Putin math time, which really quickly, I just want to show you, fam. I do have Putin's math, if it's here, really quick. Because, we've been talking about, okay, some people are saying he's never used nuclear weapons or whatever and stuff, but they have said, they're not going to mess around anymore. So this is the new math of Putin. Here we go. I'm going to show y'all. See this? You've seen this yet?
Get there. So first we have, all right, today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. Now there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you. All right, today we're going to talk about how we can find out and
pipeline.
So, fam,
Fam,
does the United States want to keep a fuck around and then find out?
you're dumb, but that was funny. Yeah,
But that's what they've been saying. They're like, we're not bluffing anymore. We're not bluffing anymore.
well, no, they're going to use every weapon at their disposal, meaning to increase the military operation on Ukraine, because Ukraine is the one that they're going to attack. They're not just going to go gung ho and go and attack Europe or anything like that. They're talking about Ukraine. But they know that they're fighting a war with NATO. They know this isn't a war with Ukraine. Ukraine is held up by, it's a corpse, and NATO is holding up the corpse. It's a weekend at Bernie's, okay? That's Ukraine. Ukraine is holding on by the skin of its teeth, because if they wouldn't keep getting weapons and funding and all of this support from NATO, they wouldn't be anything. They are a NATO colony, essentially. They stopped being a sovereign state. And notice how Putin keeps bringing up sovereignty, right? Because he says the United States and the West go after people who want to exert their own sovereign rights. This is what we talk about all the time. We talk about this ad nauseum too. It's about sovereignty. All these people, all Russia wants, all the people in the Donbass, all the people all over the fucking world in South America and Africa want is to exert their own sovereignty. And what country has had the historical literal data of interjecting themselves and preventing people from exerting their sovereignty.
And we're going around and we're spreading democracy. We're being Captain America and
He
fighting
said that
all
is
these
the
evil
last
people.
thing that they do, is what he said in this whole speech. This whole speech was so, that's why I want to keep watching it, because it's so
Let's watch
good.
a little bit more then. So here we go. I'm going to put this. I'm going to mute us, guys, again.
That, well, those who profit from that are the ones who are responsible, are the ones who are the perpetrators. It is, this regime is all based on violence and intimidation. This is why we see hundreds of military bases emerging all around the world. This is why we see attempts at creating new military alliances, such as AUKUS. We see the Washington, Seoul, Tokyo trifecta emerging, and any attempt to challenge this Western hegemony is perceived as a direct threat that requires an immediate response, because all they need, all the West needs, is complete dominance. When they talk about their plans, they say that they're peaceful, but they're hypocritical. They talk about containment. And this word, containment, has been found in almost every security document of the West. What does this containment mean? It means undermining the development of any independent and sovereign center of power. We have seen this in Russia. We have seen this in the Middle East, in Africa, in Asia. And we know that whenever even the allies of the US go against the party line of the United States, the United States even attacks their own allies. Nobody's safe. Everyone can become a target, including our allies, the countries of the Commonwealth of Independent States. We have seen a sanctions blitzkrieg against Russia. When they started it, they believed that they will be able to control the world and place it under its whims. Some people believed that would happen, but the majority of states do not want to follow that agenda. They choose a path of cooperating with Russia. This kind of defiance is not...
Well, we're going to keep playing a lot of it, but I just wanted to stop it right there and talk about the fact that he mentioned sovereignty. Again, he mentioned that even the United States goes after its own allies, and that's very true with what they've been doing. And if anybody steps out of line,
If they don't bend the knee,
they go after them too. This is something too of a package I also did recently, where the United States, if they don't like somebody, they steal their gold. Like we've seen what happened with Venezuela. We've seen what they're trying to do with Russia. Ukraine, Zelensky is pushing this sort of thing right now. So this is absolute.
yeah.
What?
Just leave it. Yeah. I was going to just send a shout out to some love to some people. I didn't want to interrupt you.
So you did. So
I'm
now
sorry.
it's okay.
Well, I just want to send some love to Julian 420, who just left a really nice love on the Give Send Go, and also Julie, who left some love on the Give Send Go. But,
thank you guys for the contributions, because it's hard to get me back to Russia. Wow.
Yeah, I know. Really helping us back. So thank you so much, guys. If you want, you can go to thegivesendgo.com/theconvocouchbrazil. We're here talking about Russia in Sao Paulo, but we did show the favelas, and we have more election coverage coming up. We are just hours away from this election, this historic election here with Jair Bolsonaro versus Lula da Silva. And there's also a couple other candidates on the ballot. I think there's 11 total or something like that they said. I don't know how many left, but there are 4 serious candidates. There's 2 other candidates that are pretty interesting as well. But let's play a little bit more of this video, guys. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Fuck around and find out. That's what's going on in Russia. They're up in the stakes. The Donbass region is now has their own sovereignty. Four separate countries signed today. Putin made this historic speech. Fee was here, not in the Red Square, so therefore she got to work over here and not over there.
Over here, over there.
Something that the US expected to see. They have been accustomed to using violence, and they believe that this instrument of violence and direct threats is something that will work indefinitely. But this kind of politics is not just the product of the idea of American that America is special. There are many other origins of this. They are using fakes. They are using direct and propaganda. They are lying, just like Goebbels did. And the more brazen the lie is, the more people believe in it. But you cannot feed people with money that you continuously print. When you continue to push money into the economy, you cannot. It cannot become energy or gas that will warm your flats. You cannot feed people with money.
And these inflated capitalizations, you cannot keep anyone warm with that. You need energy for that. That's why politicians in Europe also, they have to convince their citizens to not to eat so much, not to take baths so often. And those who start to question this, start asking questions, why is that? They are called extremists, radicals, or enemies. And they point at Russia. They are saying this is the source of all your problems. And they are lying through their teeth here again. And here is what I would like to emphasize. We have every reason to believe that the Western elites do not want to look for any constructive resolutions for the food and energy crisis that was brought about by them because of their policies that started long before our special military operation in Ukraine and Donbass. And they do not want to resolve these issues of inequality, of injustice. They want to use other recipes that they are so used to. And I would like to remind you that the controversies of the early 20th centuries were resolved by the West by the World War II. And the profits from the US helped the US to overcome their Great Depression, to become the greatest economy of the world. And they enforced their dollar as global reserve currency in the crisis of the 1980s. And it exacerbated also back in the 1980s, but the West overcame it by using the resources of the Soviet Union that was falling apart and eventually collapsed. This is a fact. And to get themselves entangled from these controversies, they want to break Russia. Other states that choose sovereign path of development to plunder someone else's riches more and to use these riches to fix their problems more. And if this doesn't happen, I do not exclude it that they will try to bring the system to the outright collapse. And they will shift the blame on someone else, or they might use their famous formula that the war will resolve every problem. Russia understands its responsibility or its global community, and they want to bring these hotheads back to their senses.
So the last part is really important. Russia understands the responsibility to the international community. That's a big deal. That means that Putin is saying, we understand what this means for the entire world, what we're doing. Basically, Putin, the way I'm looking at it right now, is standing up to the U.S. empire. Russia, right, as a whole, is standing up to the U.S. empire, is standing up to NATO. It's taking up all of NATO. And some people might think it's crazy that Russia can do that, that Russia is willing to do that. But I don't think Russia's alone. And I think that's Putin's point. That he later on goes on to say confidence that other people of other countries, other peoples of other countries are in agreement because they've been victims of this. They see this is happening. He talks about Africa. He talks about Latin America. He talks about these countries that in Asia that have been victims to this. And he talks about how he's afraid that the West is going to collapse the economy and blame it on somebody else, which is kind of what's happening right now. And that if they aren't able to do what they want to do, that they're going to use war to uplift their economy, because that's what the United States has done. We know our economy is built on war. That's the reason we have war. Did you want to address something?
No. I mean, it's a very serious speech now, and you see everybody in this room how they look right now. Somebody was putting in the chat that Putin is being very bold by doing this, and regardless of what you feel about Vladimir Putin, he is being very, very bold right now, and you can see the look in everybody in this room. It's very serious, guys. It's in my mind, as you were speaking, I'm just thinking about what could be, what could really happen. Are our crazy oligarchs or our crazy government, are they going to go keep doing this? Are they going to really go head to head? I mean, we all saw that, Koki Smurf, Vladimir Voldemort Green Screen Zelensky is rushing in an application to join NATO. I mean, so then you're telling me Ukraine now attacks the Donbass the way they've been attacking it, but now it's a Russian part of the Russian Federation. Russia spanks back hard. They're part of NATO, which thank God they're not. They said that U.S. is going to deny their application because I guess they're not that crazy, but
because it would be the start of World War III.
I mean, really would. It's scary, and I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, like what the fuck?
I think eventually what's left of Ukraine will be part of NATO, but after the conflict ends.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping no one's dumb enough to make Ukraine a part of NATO while we.
Did you see Koki Smurf sitting there today, dude?
He's nominated to a Nobel Prize.
Oh, get the fuck out of here! He's
the main candidate.
It was a joke when Obama fucking won it. Now it's
no, he deserves it more than Obama.
Oh my God! Maybe we can send Ben Stiller over there to not just to say you're my hero, but maybe we can send Ben Stiller over there to fight in the goddamn war. Please, with this asshole.
Obviously, this neo-colonial model is doomed to fail.
Neo-colonial.
I would like to reiterate that there are true masters. They will cling to it until the end because they have nothing else to offer the world rather than this pillaging, plundering system. Because they want to deprive billions of people, most of the people, they want to deprive them from their right for justice and freedom of choice for their future. And now they shifted to the radical denial of the traditional values, religion, of family. Let's answer these simple questions now. I would like to go back to what I've said. I would like to address all the people of the country, not only to those colleagues that are attending here now. I would like to address all the people of Russia. Do we really want to have in Russia, instead of mothers and fathers, to have parent number 1, parent number 2, parent number 3? What kind of...
You can forward it a little bit if you want.
Well, talk a little bit while the commercial plays.
Okay. Am I muted or am I?
No, you're on. I think you're unmuted. You're unmuted.
Okay. So that part where he starts talking about, parenting and conservative values and all that is the part that the left focus on to say he sounds like Trump. He sounds like a Nazi. Trump has never even said all of this stuff. I mean, Trump said a couple things that, the quiet part out loud sometimes, but he didn't say things like that. I mean, he didn't go that far. So it's let's hear the rest of it because he went forward a little.
They like the nickname.
Koki Smurf.
Koki Smurf. That was
I like it.
That was Steve.
Ah, of course it was Steve. Wait.
I'm gonna add him.
He's talking.
All right, here we go, Pam.
Be like it was before. The battlefield that history called us to, it is the battlefield for our people, for big historical Russia, for great Russia. Our people, for... We can see it, we can feel their support. Everyone, they want to mothers and fathers to have parent number 1, parent number 2, parent number 3? What kind of an extinction? Do we want them to impose this understanding that instead of males and females, there is some genders? And do we really want them to go through gender change operations? Do we really want it for our children? It is unacceptable for us because we have the future of our own, which is different. And the Western elites, they are working against all the communities, against the peoples of the Western countries as well. It is against everyone. They want to bring back all the traditional values, traditional faith, and it's like the religion upside down. Looks like blatant Satanism. When Jesus Christ was talking about false prophets, he was saying, you will recognize them by the fruits they will yield. And we can already see this fruit, not only in our country, but everywhere. And it is becoming obvious to many people in the West as well. The West is entering the time of fundamental changes. New centers of development are emerging, and they represent the majority of global community. And they are ready to voice their interests, and they are ready to protect and defend their interests. And multipolar world for them is the way to defend their sovereignty, to acquire the true freedom, true independence, and future. Their right for independent, creative, independent development to harmonious process all across the world, and in Europe and the United States also. We have a lot of like-minded people, and we can feel it, we can see it, we can feel their support. People from various countries and communities, authoritarian control the thing of the past, and peoples understand that the policy is based on exclusivity of someone, on trying to subdue other cultures, other peoples, is a criminal policy. They understand that we should turn this awful page, and the Western hegemony will be broken, and it is unavoidable, and it will never be like it was before. The battlefield that history called us to, it is the battlefield for our people, for big historical Russia, for great Russia.
Tim, these are the things that he just said are very powerful. What he just said is very big. What we have been called to do, it's almost like he's preparing Russians for this like battle, and it's not communism. It's a fight against this sort of global elitist agenda. It seems like the NATO agenda of making everybody culturally nothing except what NATO wants. That's why he was talking about all the conservative stuff, because Russians are more conservative. And I said that as much in every stream I've ever done after living in Moscow, right? And that's fine. If you don't like it, and I'm more liberal than Putin. I don't always agree with everything he says, guys, but is he lying when he's talking about some of the things that are being pushed by the West and how it's been so divisive and how they're focused on that? And if Russia wants to decide to have somebody like that, that's up to Russians. There's a lot of people who don't necessarily love Putin, but they do love that he's fighting against hegemony. And he literally says it. It'll be the end of hegemony. Things will never be the same. But it does seem a little bit like he's like prepping people to say, this is what we're fighting. We're fighting this. We're fighting the elitist global fascism that is encroaching us. Yes, yeah. That's what, and Russia's doing that. And he's saying, but we're not alone, guys. We feel it. We feel that other peoples are in support and they see it. And this is a very big deal. It's honestly, before this speech, I always thought Putin says a lot of truth here and there. But this speech really, it's almost like everything that needed to be said was said. I think it puts a target on his back more. I think these are words that many haven't dared to say, except, the usual suspects like Nicaragua has Ortega and Chavez and Castro and all these people. Well, we're almost done. I know fam's getting tired.
For great historic Russia, for future generations, for our children and great children, when we have to save them from enslavement, from awful experiments that are aimed at maiming their souls. And we fight today so that never could think ever again that Russia, our people, our language, our culture can be just canceled from history. Today, we need to consolidate all our society. And this consolidation should be based on the sovereignty, on freedom, on creativity, on justice. Our values are humanity, mercy, compassion. I would like to conclude my address with the words of the true patriot, Ivan Ilyin. If I consider Russia my motherland, it means that I love in Russian way, that I create and think in Russian, I sing and speak in Russian. I believe in spiritual strength of the Russian people. Spirit of the people is my spirit. Its destiny is my destiny. Its suffering is my grief. Its prosperity is joy to me. And the great spiritual choices behind these words, and many generations of our ancestors followed this path. And today we are making this choice. Citizens of the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic made this choice. People and citizens of the Zaporozhye and Kherson regions, they made their choice to be with their people, to be with their motherland, to share its destiny, to win and prevail with their motherland. The truth is with us. Russia is with us.
And look at that. Yes, people are serious, but I think there's also a lot of pride for what's happening. So this is, again, then he goes on, and what happens is he signs the document allowing these territories to be a part of Russia, annexing these territories as a part of Russia. And now an attack on those territories by Ukraine is an attack on Russia.
Here
So-
they are, right there. So that's what happened today, boys and girls.
Yep. Big deal.
Yeah.
Big things happening. This is, RT was streaming news 24 hours because they were like, this is big. They know. We know this is, this could get really hairy. Because even though Russia's saying, I will sit on the negotiating table, what is that?
Oh,
I will sit on the
Picture I had,
negotiating table. I will go ahead and do this.
Sorry.
Why do you have a picture?
I just wanted to show a picture of me since it's been so late and I was being funny. But go ahead, fam. Sorry.
What
Okay,
the
listen.
fuck?
There I am. That's me in Peru, guys. Just thought that, you'd like to see that right now. So.
Your hair looks better than it does now.
Stop, man.
My
Look at
hair
your
doesn't-
hair.
I know my hair is messed up too. Don't look at it. Stop.
Okay.
But guys, this is a big deal. This is but that I recommend everybody read the speech because some of the translation wasn't
Yeah.
100%.
They right
the-
at that point where those four people are going up representing their independent sovereign nations now, that changes everything once that ink hits that paper.
Mhm.
Now you attack that country. Now you're an Azov battalion member shelling that country. You're labeled as a terrorist combatant, and Russia's not going to, once again, at what level do you want to fuck around to find out? And that's where we're at. Things are changed. And it was just a very crazy day, seeing Koki Smurf trying to, rush these papers. There was talks that the Biden administration didn't even see it coming, that they were blindsided by the whole situation. So,
By what situation?
about Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, just people coming in and spamming shit. Got to put them in timeouts. That they didn't even know that Zelensky was going to apply for NATO.
Mm-hmm.
They said they didn't even know that. Somebody said that the Biden administration was just scrambling. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's scary times. World War III is like looming in the window right now. So
Yeah, and it would be difficult. where would that leave people, like me that live in Moscow and would have to go home? I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't agree with what my government is doing. I don't agree with any of that. I don't agree with what Biden has been doing. I don't agree with what the military has been doing. I don't agree. I think NATO is a terrorist state. And when I say things like that, and I'm in Moscow, I can say them.
Yeah.
When I say things like that, I'm in Nicaragua, or Cuba, or Venezuela, I can say these things. If I say that in the United States, there's a potential of targeting. And it's getting more dangerous for us journalists to be in a NATO type of country. I mean, I have friends who can't go to these NATO friendly countries because they will be persecuted, right? We have people getting put on kill lists, and the United States is still funding Ukraine. That should be a no-no. They put 12-year-olds on kill lists. I mean, this is out of hand. This is ridiculous. And now it's getting dangerous to do the work we do, which is just going about and telling the truth. Now you're going to get put on kill lists. You're going to get put sanctioned. I mean, this is getting really serious because the United States thinks that they can continue pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And the minute Russia escalates and says pushes back, this is Satan. He's Hitler. All this other stuff. And I mean, fuck around and find out, right, fam?
Yeah, fuck around and find out. Guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over really quick. Zelensky, played by Ben Stiller in A Theater Near You. That idiot went over literally and said, "You're my hero, man. I can't believe you. You're my hero." So, that's that. That's not what I wanted. Better.
What are you doing?
I'm going to read some super chats with a little music in the background.
Okay.
Because we have some cool super chats. Thank you to Julian Assange, 420, generous.
And Julian Assange, again, is an example of, all the stuff that happened to him is happening to a lot of people now.
So we do have some super great contributions. Wow, one just came in. Anna Maris, much love, Fee, fam. Sorry. Doing the damn thing. Love you. We love you too, Anna Maris. Looking forward to seeing you and firing a gun with you. YouTube might ban you for creating videos under the influence, says Jenny. Thank you so much, Jenny. David Crow, fam.
David Crow.
Hail Putin. Never have I been more disappointed, more misrepresented, and more astonished and appalled by the U.S. leadership. And what do you think about that?
I mean, me neither. I mean, it just keeps getting worse. You think you've hit the bottom of the barrel with Biden, and then Kamala goes and says North Korea is our partner. I mean, I wish they were, so we wouldn't be threatening to go to nuclear war with them. But
Arem, we love you, Arem. Fiorella looks fantastic. Pasta, what's up? You look like you saw a ghost. What does WTD stand for?
What the damn happened to you?
Nothing, and you look thin. Thank you so much. Damn, you make your mama worry. Pasta, take care of yourself. Eat, Pasta, eat. Fiorella, you're beautiful. Beautiful Fiorella, radiant, beautiful, tan, toned, surprisingly rested. What happened to Pasta? Where's Pasta RT? Where's Pasta's RT rejuvenating love? Real time rejuvenating.
The Russians rejuvenate me right now. I have a lot of love for them right now.
And Amram, thank you so much for helping us out. Like, you've been a big part of being able to do this stuff, to be in these places right now. It really does mean a lot. It is a life dream to be able to do what you love. And the way you guys have reciprocated, and we know a lot of people don't have a lot of funds, but those who do to help out, like yourself, it's amazing. And I can't thank you enough. I look forward to meeting you one day and giving you a big hug and kiss. We got to actually meet Mook Juice. Mook Juice! Bukan. He's getting married in Brazil. Got a lovely wife to be. Mook has been following us for a long time.
Mook.
We love you, Mook. You are amazing.
He's not a Mook.
He is a Mook. His sister's a Mook. Earthling, Universal Earthling. Thanks for the hard work, y'all. Peace. Thank you, Universal Earthling, and thank you for always showing the love. $5 for fee and pasta, says Jim Garrison and Copeland Morris. Pasta and fee. It is wonderful the work you are doing. Many thanks, and many thanks to you too.
Thank you, guys.
Well. Guys, let me get this comment off there because I don't know why it's still there. My bad. Hide current comment. We do have this going on, guys. We did some love today. GibsandGo.com, the Combo Couch Brazil. We are hours away, days away, about a day and a half away, not even, from this beautiful, historic, crazy election. I said it's kind of like we have a Bernie Sanders versus a Donald Trump. The match we never got to see, we get to see here in Brazil, and we're going to see who finds out.
I think Donald Trump is not anything. I think Lula's a more damaging candidate than Trump. Like I don't think Trump is. I think Trump is all rhetoric. I think Trump, really put a lot of eyes out there on all this stuff. I think Bolsonaro, the privatization he's doing, has a lot more consequences than anything Donald Trump ever did. To be honest, a lot of people vilified Trump and stuff, and he wasn't my favorite. Obviously, he wasn't my favorite candidate in any way, shape, or form. But Bolsonaro to me seems like a very, very just the privatization, the giving it away to Nestle, a Bayer. They're very big here in Brazil about having food that isn't riddled with chemicals. And that's one of the things I've noticed here more than in other countries. They're very big on that, besides Nicaragua, where they talk about food sovereignty. And that's the contamination of all the food and water is happening in Brazil.
Yeah.
So it's a huge deal, I think. So
what do you say to the people who say that Bolsonaro has been the best when it comes to the boop boop in that situation? Like, in other words, he hasn't been just anti-mandate. He's been anti-vaccine. And he did get out kits to everybody, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin. You can't even get it around the corner because they're out of it. That's how much he distributed out. What do you say to those people who say, well, that they really find that to be important, and at least Bolsonaro should get some credit for that?
I mean, I think you can say he did okay on that. But again, for me, I go back to why do these people feel the way they do about the pandemic? Because if you have a system that's already doomed to fail, you don't have people getting treated for this. It's one thing to send kits, and it's another thing to have the infrastructure set up to treat people who get sick. And a lot of people died because of that lack of infrastructure. So I say, I see it as him following in Trump's footsteps of trying to see the opportunity in doing this to get votes, because he sees his base and he knows his base. He's very smart. I'll give him that. He knows how to get his base riled up and how to do certain things to seem like a populist. But I don't really think he's a populist. I think he's just a regular neoconservative that's going to privatize so many things that has privatized a lot of things. And I think at the end of the day, the reason Lula is ahead is because people don't care about that stuff when they can't feed themselves. So, I mean, if I were here in Brazil, I would easily make a choice on that, in spite of I don't need somebody to be anti vaccine. It was always about being anti-mandate. If people want to choose to take something, poisonous that I think is bad, that's their choice. I'm not going to deprive them of that. That's if they wanted to give Pfizer their money or whatever, let them do it. Let them, or trust Pfizer or whatever, Moderna and whatever. And if they felt like the vaccine worked, whatever, But to me, it was about vilifying a group of people and not giving them that choice. But in Latin American countries, because Latin American countries have been so disenfranchised from any sort of treatments that the Western countries get, historically, is why people saw it as, oh, we didn't get these vaccines. And you have to take that into context when you come to these countries and look at that. And I don't think I would have taken it into context as much if I didn't come to these countries and understand why people feel that way about that, because they see it as a way of helping people, even though it's not. And they're not as aware about, where these come from and stuff. I can understand people in Brazil or people in Latin American countries not knowing, but people in the United States, they should know better. We complain about Big Pharma all the time. We talk about this. There's been the people questioning vaccines for a long time. That came from the left. It's a whole other level when people look at it from a developing country where they feel like they're not getting the same fair type of opportunities as the Western countries, because it always happens. And if you look at the indigenous populations, the people in more rural areas, like we've seen in Brazil and Africa, they're more suspect of it because of being experimented on and stuff. So There's a lot that goes
Yeah.
into this.
So this is from Universal Earthling. I copied it and from the Rockford and brought it over. Are you all concerned that Lula will implement medical mandates given the support of them? I say no. I don't think he's going to implement any mandates. Don't get me wrong. I had an argument with somebody today who's like, oh, they don't understand what you're saying when you ask that question. They don't know what mandates are. I'm like, yes, they do. We had conversations with them. We had conversations with them after. Even though they want mandates, some of the progressive style, this is when we say this Bernie Sanders style kind of mentality. Even though they do want mandates, I don't believe Lula's going to implement them. However, I do believe he's going to make them readily available. I am a little bit different of opinion when it comes to Fiorella when people says, this is the libertarian part where you're a little bit more libertarian than me, where you put it out there and let people make their choice. I don't believe informed consent was given. I believe they lied. I believe they manipulated it. I don't believe that somebody should get a vaccine if in fact they have qualified immunity, and that's what they do have. So there is a little bit of a difference of opinion there.
So you want to force people not to get a vaccine?
No, I would not give them qualified immunity.
Oh yeah, well,
I wouldn't give them qualified immunity. I wouldn't give my citizens free vaccines and give the companies qualified immunity.
I wouldn't give the companies qualified immunity either.
I would do what they did in Nicaragua, where they explained to people the pros and cons of everything about the vaccine. You know what I'm saying? They give them all list of what the vaccines can do. They gave them proper informed consent. And if you don't give proper informed consent, then you're no good in my mind.
So who's this person saying Russia is part of the WEF and Pasta needs to get off Putin's nuts?
Yeah,
is it the same person?
It's the same person. Just changing stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to address this really quickly. Pasta is not on Putin's nuts. He's literally we've been having this discussion about is Putin actually opposing the World Economic Forum? Is Russia doing this? No, because there's a picture of Putin. That was a long time ago. Putin has been saying all of this stuff in his speeches. There was an interview with Oliver Stone. There's been other interviews where he has laid it out with one of the RT people, where he laid out exactly the difference between the West and the East. He's been talking about this. This is nothing new with Putin, but in this particular speech, there's a shift where Russia is taking a clear stand against Western hegemony, and he's talking about these elites from the West. We're the ones pushing the WEF, the elites from the West. And in fact, the CEO of Blackwater, I believe, actually said that Putin ruined this global agenda. He actually said it. He said, Putin ruined this now. He must be defeated. They literally are promoting this globalist agenda, and they're saying Putin ruined it, that he single-handedly is ruining it. Do I think Putin is, an angel like somebody's trying? No, I don't think he's an angel. I don't think to be a politician in this world today, you can be an angel because of I think it's very hard. Even the politicians I love have had to say things and take a stand and make tough decisions, because when you're operating in a system that I believe is this imperialist system that has this rule, you're going to have to do things. You're going to have to make decisions to stand up against it.
ARAM asks, how much credit does someone who did the right things or closer to, or some of the right things for the wrong reasons? I think they're kind of asking, ARAM is asking, does Bolsonaro get credit when he may have made a right move, but he did it for different reasons? Maybe he did it because he thought it was political expedient. Yeah. Maybe he did it because of
to me it matters. To me, why people do things matters, and that's maybe the difference between me and say like a person with a different political point of view that's more of a libertarian. Well, at least they got what they want.
Well, I think results at the end of the day do mean something, and I'll be happy that the fact that they did get it right. But I kind of feel a little bit more less with fee nowadays. That when you do things for the wrong reasons, you do them for different reasons. Well, that's this decision. When the next decision comes around and you're not there in the right mind space and you did something that was right for the wrong reasons, what's going to happen the next time around? Right. So, that's kind of interesting way to put things, ARAM. Also, all the top immunologists know chemicals and toxins cause bacteria and viruses to become stronger, creating variants. Chemical weapons are forced vaccines and are the foundation of the epidemic outbreak. Thank you, Esoteric Gold. Fam, I think that's about it for the time. What do you think right now? We've been on for about 2 hours, so we're probably keeping somebody up, but we're going to do that. Guys, let me just make a double check to make sure that there is one more Super Ray over there. Thank you so much, OTR Trekker. Thanks, fam, for pointing out the difference between Lula and Bolsonaro on the vaccines. I agree, Lula is still better, but man, yeah, I get it, OTR trucker, and that's why I always say, listen, let's set the tone for the next election. There's a couple good candidates that are, the third and the fourth place candidate. The fourth one, I can't remember her name. Our good friend was telling, our journalist friend out here was telling about her, that she made this amazing speech, and she went from the very bottom of these 10, 11 candidates all the way up to 4. Well, if we can set a tone for her, get her some percentage points for next election, maybe she can be the face of Brazil moving forward. And a lot of people feel that Lula is the compromised character at this compromised candidate at this point, like a Petro was. So yeah, I mean, I get it, OTR trucker. Guys, also we want to let you know one last time, if you got a few extra bucks, you can see it right there. GiveSendGo.com, the Combo Couch Brazil. Come on over there, help us out. We know, Lucky Burrito, we love you. The music's still on. We're letting it go. We were doing it to close out the show. That's it. We're going to be hitting the streets, the favelas, the middle-class neighborhoods, the upper-class neighborhoods. We're going to be watching this election. We're going to be reporting it through and through. We got a couple more days left. So if there's anything you can do to help, if you ain't got a few bucks, just do us a favor. Like and share, do the thing. Were you on that show? It was a live show the other day. Do you want to talk about that show that you were?
So I did a show with Brazilians, Brazilian podcasters, anti-imperialists as well. And I shared it on my Twitter. I'll share it again. But it was really cool. It was, they asked some of the questions in Spanish, some of them in Portuguese, but I could understand most of it. I can understand a lot of Portuguese, but I can't really speak it because I don't know like all the different words. But it wasn't on Brazil. It was on Russia, Ukraine, and the referendum and the significance of this. So I did a Brazilian podcast on Russia, Ukraine in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So pretty funny, pretty cool though. So pretty cool to do. They seem like a really cool people, and I'm glad that the Latin American community, because a lot of people who speak Spanish watch them, gets to hear this, from me. And I'm of course Latin American, Peruvian, living living in Moscow, but currently in Brazil. So it's crazy how we're covering international. Yeah, we're international.
That's it for today, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. If not, the next day we'll be posting up some more videos. Everything's going on. Combo Couch here in Brazil. We love you. We're gonna let the music play on out. We'll catch you on the couch later, fam.
Das vidania.
Das vidania. Muy obrigado.